So we've done about a week straight worth of ship updates, and yes, we are recycling a little footage here. We're going to be doing this for a little while. I'm actually moving IRL, so we're going to have to do a little footage recycling for a little while, unfortunately. But that aside, we've been talking about ships for a week, looking at all the different manufacturers and all of that. But where are we at? It's been, let's say, an interesting year. This was very much the year of 3.0, and we're about to get 3.4 in days, weeks, couple of weeks, few days. And where are we at? And where are we headed? And is it going to improve? Because certainly right now, there are a few things that are broken, though, understandably so. So, what are we doing? Where are we at? And where are we going to go? Now, earlier in the year, we heard Chris Roberts at CitizenCon saying, we're looking at kind of bringing this game to life, closing a lot of these gameplay loops, getting things to a certain state of reliability to where the PU feels more like an actual game and less like a novelty of new features to be explored. And in general, I mean, to be forgotten by a large chunk of the community. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who kind of get into the universe and then just kind of go, okay, that was cool. See you in 3 months, right? On this new development cycle that we've been on in 2018 and going into 2019. And it's kind of obvious when you look at the roadmap that there's a lot of features yet to come online. Certainly if you play the game and you kind of play it with any degree of depth in Star Citizen, you will immediately see, okay, that's not done, this is still missing, yada, yada, yada. And that's not entirely a bad thing. We continue to make progress, and at times it does feel like one step forward, two steps back. Certainly the mission system in its current iteration is very buggy and has a lot of problems. I've found, oddly enough, that the ECN missions and the pirate missions tend to be the most reliable to play, though once again, this really lacks any sense of permanence that makes the gameplay truly feel rewarding. In the end, it ultimately does feel like a novelty, something to kind of play a few times and then to set aside and go play, one of your real games. But how do we get to that point that, Chris Roberts wants to hit? The sooner we can get to it, obviously, the more engaging Star Citizen is going to feel. But with so many systems coming online, merging together as it was, there are bound to be assets, there are bound to be accidents, there are bound to be mistakes. And, with that taken into account, there's a lot of features that we would like to test or that we would like to try that for various reasons simply will not work in the game. And there's the Rico missions, there's the Wheezy guy in Lorville. His mission doesn't work. You go and talk to him and he just kind of delivers a similar speech to what he delivered at the CitizenCon, but then after that you don't get a mission. He goes, oh, sorry, no work for you right now. And you're kind of going, oh well, maybe in 3.4. And so when you're playing the game, you kind of always get this sense of, what's the point? And I'm not trying to say this in an accusational way. I'm not trying to say this in like an angry way, like, oh my God, Chris Roberts, fix your game. Rah, rah, I'm so mad right now. No. It's understandable when you're bringing this much stuff together, when you're building a universe that is this big, with this many different gameplay systems and this many different possible careers, and you're trying to do all of this, you're going to face a lot of challenges. I always use the analogy of like, we're on a section of highway where you have all this traffic trying to merge on and merge off at the same time. There are bound to be collisions. There are bound to be issues. There are bound to be problems and traffic jams and all of that. This is going to be a very, difficult time for players to try to derive any kind of enjoyment and any sense of purpose in playing the game right now. Right now, it very much is a novelty, and I think that that's not unreasonable to say. But, as Chris Roberts kind of heads towards that goal of trying to close the gameplay loops, of trying to bring reliability to a point where you can, say, okay, we're live now, you're progressing, go forth and conquer. We are still, let's be real, we are still a ways away from that. But I think that there are things that can be done to make that a little bit easier and to kind of give the PU a certain sense of progression. Like, if you think about the Crusader security ships, the Crusader security Cutlass and the pirate Buccaneers and the pirate Cutlasses and the different pirate ships that are in the universe. These are all skins of ships that we already know, right? Skins on ships that are clearly already flyable and operatable by players. And I think that, we already know that CIG has a way to track the things that we do in game. Let's say whether you're doing the Pirate Swarm and you get a badge that allows you to buy the Pirate Caterpillar. And before that, it was the Vandal Swarm, which gave you a badge that allowed you to buy the Glaive when the Glaive came up for sale. We know that CIG has a way of tracking what we do in the game and awarding us things based on that. And I think that, CIG could use that tool set to kind of say, we know that the PU is a novelty right now. We know that the PU is like, hey, I want to go check out that new thing. Cool, I checked it out. Some of it was broken, some of it was working. No real need to kind of stay here and mess around with it. I think that since they can obviously track what we do in game, they can perhaps award us things based on that. And that would attach a certain amount of progression and a certain amount of permanence to our actions in the universe and make it feel at least somewhat rewarding in a material fashion. It might be as simple as guns or pirate or Crusader security or later on Hurston security ship skins for some of our ships. Things like that they can kind of say, oh, you killed X amount of pirates around Hurston, so here's an achievement, here's a badge, and here's a Hurston security skin for, I don't know, whatever ship that they use. I mean, Crusader security tends to show up in Cutlasses and Gladiuses for the most part, so here's a skin for your Gladius or your Cutlass. Same thing for Hurston. Maybe you're doing pirate missions and you end up walking away with a pirate skin for your Cutlass, for your Gladius, for whatever ship that you decide to use, maybe even for your Aurora, Things like that make things that players can seek out. Like, oh, you completed X amount of missions for Rudo, whether there was delivery missions that, once again, are going from one stash house to another, which oddly enough seem to be the only delivery missions that really work right now. Or, you completed X amount of bounties for pirates or, either in the employ of pirates or against pirates if you're, the law-abiding player. Then here's a title, something like that. Something that maybe you can't earn later on down the road in the game. Something that kind of players can kind of look at and say, oh, that was a guy who really played a lot of the beta or the alpha. So, check that out. That's where he got that title. That's where he got that ship skin. I think there's certain things like that they can attach to our accounts that'll make this process a little bit more fun and a little bit more enticing to enjoy and to play. Maybe while a lot of these missions are in fact broken, let's say you get the mission to go to the blown up Caterpillar or the blown up Starfarer, and you can't find the black box or whatever, you can't find the cargo because it doesn't flash up, and so you're kind of going like, what's the point of this? Maybe exploring those shipwrecks, you find something like the helmet for the heavy pirate or the heavy marine armor set floating there. You click on it and it permanently awards that to your account. So you have that. And as you're kind of going through and exploring different missions, even if the mission doesn't work, even if there's no permanence to the reward, having a system like that operating in the background, it does lend that sense of progression to what you're doing, and it gives you kind of a purpose. And so over time, you can collect these different sets of armor that you currently see in game, which when the game goes live, you might still have. And so as a player, you're kind of going, okay, there's a reason for me to be here now. There is an enjoyment, there's a purpose, there is something to pursue within the PU currently that goes beyond just simple monetary rewards that are going to get wiped out in 3 months' time. Maybe it's something as simple as attaching badges and titles to players, or maybe it's some kind of very basic asset. We've heard about the multi-tool. Maybe going around and collecting the multi-tool from separate habs, picking up one at Levski, picking up one at Olisar, picking up one at Grim Hex, and getting one at Lorville, picking them all up in a single gameplay session awards you a certain title, or maybe it awards you a permanent multi-tool that is attached to your account now. Something that you can simply pull out of your inventory as it is right now, or something that will be in your permanent inventory at a time in the future when your ship has that implemented, like an armory. Something like that, or just going to shipwrecks or mission locations, and maybe you find the arms to the light pirate set or the light marine set or something like that. And so as you're exploring the game, you're going like, oh, I found this, oh, I found that. Or maybe you go to Reddit and a player has made a list of, this is where you find all the different pieces. These are the missions that they're on. And you can kind of go around and look at the mission board and say, oh, okay, here's this mission that this guy was talking about. This awards, the chest piece to this armor set, so I want to go do that. And as you unlock these different things, they become attached to your account. I know I've presented this idea before, but I think that having a system like this implemented into the game will give the PU a certain amount of purpose, and it will be something that would function regardless of whether or not certain features are working in the game or not. So it attaches a sense of progression and purpose to the gameplay, rather than it just being a novelty of testing out the new ship and then going, okay, well, that was interesting, and leave, and then going, oh, well, I'll wait until the next big patch until I play again. I think something like that would really help out the game, especially when so many features are having a very difficult time, getting to a point where they all work and function reliably. I don't know. That's my take on the situation. You may have a different point of view, but you can let me know in the comments below. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.